This week, President Trump signed an order to send National Guard troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. He's edged closer and closer to a trade war with China. Today, speaking in West Virginia, he resurrected the false claim that millions of people voted illegally. And ever since signing a budget bill that drew flack from his supporters, the president has sounded more like Trump, the candidate, saying the kind of things that often appealed to his base. Meanwhile, Chief of Staff John Kelly has reportedly been sidelined, with the president increasingly trying to go it alone. The Hill reporting that a source within Trump's orbit said John Kelly, I think, is frustrated because his influence has been diminished and he cannot control what the president does. The author of that article, Niall Stanage, White House columnist for The Hill, joins me now along with Sherry Jacobus, a Republican strategist and columnist at USA Today, and Aswin Subsang, White House reporter for The Daily Beast. Welcome to all of you. Sherry, let me start with you. What are you hearing about the influence of John Kelly within the White House? The John Kelly who so many people were relieved to have there because along with Rex Tillerson and Mattis and McMaster, they were going to be the adults in the room that kept the president contained.
Well, that's the thing. He's not in the room. He's not in the room when the big decisions are being made. And he should probably quit. Quite frankly, he's on his way out. Nobody comes back from this sort of thing. And, I mean, there's great instability in this White House. It is alarming. This is a president who does not want adults in the room. If you look at him like a racehorse, where you have a jockey, you have a trainer, you have professionals, you also have a goat in the stable with the racehorse for the sole purpose of keeping them calm. They're called comfort goats. His chief comfort goat, Hope Hicks, is gone. I think Corey Lewandowski is a comfort goat who he's trying to bring back in. These are people who will not say no. These are people who will not tell the president the truth, and he doesn't want the truth. He doesn't want advisors. He doesn't want trainers. He doesn't want jockeys. He only wants comfort goats, and that's what we're going to get.
That's like a bacon-wrapped insult. Swin, let me ask you, the Associated Press is reporting something similar without using the term comfort goats. It says Trump has increasingly expressed fatigue at Kelly's attempts to shackle him. Trump recently told one confidant that he was tired of being told no by Kelly and instead has chosen simply to not tell Kelly things at all.
Well, Trump has actually been expressing that sentiment to aides and confidants for several weeks, if not many weeks, and if not months now. It's just that in the past couple of weeks or so, it seemed to be ramping up a bit. And it's not only the president who is getting more frustrated with Chief of Staff John Kelly. It's Kelly's colleagues within the West Wing who see that the promise of John Kelly and his main selling points for why he should take over after the Reince Priebus era are kind of falling flat right now. What were the main promises of John Kelly? It was that he would kill off the palace intrigue and the factionalism, he would put a lid on the chaos, and he would keep people away from the president and the West Wing and away from the Oval Office who more quote-unquote serious people did not want near President Trump. The chaos is still there. The factionalism is as bad as it ever was. And people such as Seb Gorka, who John Kelly fired shortly after he got on the job, as we at the Daily Beast reported a couple of weeks ago, was back in the White House residence dining with President Trump. So all the things that that John Kelly seemed to be promising with his new era of supposed stability seem to have not at all come to fruition.
So, Niall, the issue here, though, is that you may not care about the palace intrigue at the White House and the inner workings and whether Jared and Ivanka like John Kelly, but we have a brewing trade war with China. We're about to rip up the Iran nuclear deal. We've got the spontaneous and unexpected summit with the North Koreans. We have the Russians saying that they were invited to a meeting in Washington, which we can't confirm. This is the world at stake, not the White House. Most Americans could care less. If the White House implodes, it's actually about the world and the country.
Yes, absolutely. And let me add one other issue to your list, Ali. Syria. What is this administration's policy in Syria? We don't know. And the reason that we don't know is that a short time ago, the president, apparently in an off-the-cuff manner, said, oh, we should get out very soon. Then he sort of gave a milder version of that. Then the White House press secretary came out with a statement that was intended to clarify and didn't really clarify anything. You have to think, to bring this back to John Kelly, what does a retired four-star Marine general think when there are 2,000 American troops, approximately, approximately, in Syria, and no one really seems to know what the actual policy is.
And that they've got conflicting views on this. Sherry, I guess this, to your remarkably vivid comfort goats sentiment, the issue here is we kind of need somebody whispering into the president's ear about these various things. And by the way, the fact that we've got something going on in the southern border that we can't understand either.
Right.
Someone to keep things straight. So what kind of person is that? The president doesn't want to take instructions from people who
right.
seem to have a certain amount of self-discipline. John Kelly, by the way, raised a lot of eyebrows in the last several months about whether he is that disciplined guy. But the bottom line is, what happens next? Because Axios is reporting that to White House insiders, this is the most dangerous phase of Donald Trump's presidency so far, from the brewing trade war with China to the perilously spontaneous summit with North Korea. It's a worry.
It's going to probably be somebody that he doesn't hire. It's going to have to be somebody in Congress, the congressional leaders who grow a spine. And as we get closer to the midterms, they know that their members, their candidates running for re-election and other candidates out there are going to have to answer to some of this as they go home. And particularly once you get out of the primary and they're no longer playing to the Trump base and they have to appeal to independents and Democrats who might be interested in them, they cannot defend this president. So it might be somebody from the outside who doesn't really care about getting the approval of Trump and who Trump didn't hire. Maybe they have to have a come to Jesus meeting where a bunch of them go down to the White House. That's not unprecedented. I'm surprised it hasn't happened many, many times so far. But I think that's probably the only chance there is of breaking through. It's not going to be somebody within the White House.
What do you think, Niall?
I think that one of the difficulties is that people expect a chief of staff to be able to make Donald Trump not Donald Trump. I think that's where expectations got out of whack with John Kelly. I think that Donald Trump is particularly averse to anyone telling him what to do, and he will go to almost any lengths to prove that he cannot be reined in that way by anyone.
Swin, do you think that the elections will have a meaningful impact as we get into it and polling starts to show up, or after the elections? What changes this trajectory?
Well, if the 2018 midterms are a complete wipeout for Republicans, I don't think that'll change the trajectory for the President of the United States in some ways that, say, Republican leaders on Capitol Hill would like it. I think that would make him dig in even more to his position of, all the people around me who have been trying to control me and been trying to control my message are keeping the Make America Great Again message shackled to the point that it is costing us at the polls. Trump could win, and these losers, as the president so affectionately calls them, could not.
All right. Thanks to the three of you for being here. Niall Stanage, Sherry Jacobus, and Aswin Subsang. Thank you for your analysis and your help tonight. And that is all in for the